Welcome to the Firefly Tutors TV podcast, where real teachers from all over the country discuss real solutions for parents and educators alike. Here's your host, Marissa Johnston.
Hello and welcome to The Buzz, brought to you by Firefly Tutors TV, where we talk to administrators, educators, and parents all across the country about current topics affecting school children today. And for our parents listening out there, I know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs is very prevalent among teachers and educators, and we discuss it all the time, and we, consider it when looking at the students in our classroom. But for our parents, I want you to understand as well that Maslow's hierarchy of needs starts with basic needs being met first. And we do get into that social emotional aspect as well. And these are needs that must be met before a student has everything in place to begin learning.
So, Marissa, thank you. Well, I'm a big subscriber to the work done by researcher and psychologist Dr. Martin Seligman on positive psychology. And in that work, Seligman describes and uses the term flourishing. How do we help humans flourish? And I often try to apply that to our students, right? How do we help our students to flourish, right? I think that this moves beyond success academically. This is happiness or well-being. It encompasses a wide range of positive psychological constructs, and it offers a more holistic perspective on what it means to feel well and to be happy. Right. And so it's engagement. It's a sense of belongingness. It's relationships. It's having meaning and purpose. It's a sense of positive emotions. Right. Again, my children are grown today, and the work of positive psychology is relatively new. And all I really wanted is, as much as we wanted our students to succeed in life, I really just wanted them to be happy and to be fulfilled. And flourishing is the product of the pursuit and engagement of an authentic life. It brings inner joy and happiness through meeting goals, by being connected with life passions, and relishing in the accomplishments through the peaks and the valleys of life. And I often like to quote the spiritual writer Frederick Buechner, that says that vocation is when your deep gladness meets with the deep needs of the world. And, I think if we can help students to discover their deep gladness, and then through their education as well, help them to understand what the deep needs of the world, then they'll discover their vocation. In other words, they'll discover their purpose, and that will be a contributing factor to helping them have meaning and purpose and autonomy and self-acceptance and optimism in life, and forming positive relationships so that they can be resilient. They can develop their self-esteem and their self-efficacy, and then ultimately live that flourished life, that self-actualized life. So I really do recommend the work of Martin Seligman in positive psychology and flourishing. And frankly, as it relates, I'm a higher ed administrator, okay, and I think that today in this post-COVID world, we're hearing a lot of colleges and universities that are saying, well, gosh, these students today are not college ready. There's been learning loss. There's been social and emotional loss. The students are not college ready. Well, listen, my take on this, and this is what I think parents ought to be looking for, is I think our colleges need to be student ready. And so part of the exploration process I would encourage for parents is to find out what kinds of supports are in place for your student. They're going to get to a place where they're going to need some help along the way, right? They're going to need to learn how to self-advocate, yes. But they're going to have some down moments. They're going to have some difficult moments academically. Find out, really peel back that onion and find out what kind of commitment has the college made to be able to meet their students where they are and to walk that journey with them so that they can flourish in life. I can tell you that we're getting ready to release our strategic plan at Holy Cross College. And number one on our strategic plan, the top priority is that we're going to double down in this area of student success and hire more mentors and more advisors and more mental health counselors and add a new health and wellness center and programs that can support the well-being of our students. And so I think it's important that parents take a look at that today, because ultimately this is what we want. We want our students to be happy. We want them to achieve and realize their potential, have a life of balance so that they can flourish.
Well said, Marco. And not only are we in great alignment with exactly how you stated how we want to develop students who are well-rounded to reach their highest potential, but in doing so, not only will they become more joyous and happier, but they will be able to contribute back to society and to the world in a beautiful way. That if somebody is lacking, if they're feeling any kind of lack or unworthiness in their life, they will struggle, and we won't see the beauty of that individual. And our goal as Firefly Tutors is to help each student to reach that highest potential academically and as a whole person, no matter what their age. And I agree that social and emotional issues are huge right now for students and for parents. It's a struggle to be a good parent at this moment in time. So we're here to support everyone.
Well, it's wonderful to have organizations like yours, Diane, that do that. And I think that we will make for a better world. We'll make for a better tomorrow by working on ourselves from the inside out, right? And so I think that we need to, again, I just really encourage parents to keep that in mind. What happens is I heard a student describe in a moment of anxiety that they feel like they've been on the treadmill of success their whole life, that they they joined certain clubs and activities to position themselves to be able to have certain internships, and they took the hardest classes that they could take and the advanced placement level classes, and then they achieved the goal of getting into their college or university, only to continue that same pattern throughout their 4 years of college, and then look for graduate school to do the same thing, but never pausing to really have that sense of place and peace. We read a lot today in education about the need for students to belong. And I look at the word belong, and I think it's a longing to be. I think our students are longing to be their authentic selves, right? And that's part of what we can help them with. And so, and I'll say this too, higher ed has been under siege in the last couple of years as people are wondering the value of a higher ed degree, right? It's expensive. And there is a narrative out there that's saying, hey, well, it's not necessary. Well, you know what? Let's look at the research on lifespan. The lifespan is longer for those that have a college degree. Let's look at the research on income earnings over the course of a lifetime. It's significantly higher on average for those who have a college degree. Let's look at pro-social behaviors and civic involvement, all of which, again, are higher for those that have a college degree. Recent Harvard Business Review article said that 82% of hiring managers in corporate America still say that having a college degree is important for them in their hiring process, right? So there's lots of post-secondary options for you. And I think it's important that everyone explore what those post-secondary options are for them. And then along the way, get some value add skills in there too. Pick up a certificate in continuous improvement or project management or Lean Six Sigma or AWS or cloud-based technologies, right? In addition to getting that undergraduate bachelor's degree when possible.
Terrific. And I read something in the beginning of the pandemic. So it's been close to 3 years now since I read this article in the Wall Street Journal that the post-secondary degree to get for someone who's looking at, let's just say, an MBA as a possibility to go with whatever their bachelor's degree, whatever they earned there, to complement that. What a lot of employers are looking for now is someone with a master's in fine arts, because the master's in fine arts really teaches us creativity and to think outside the box, to think beyond what has already been done. And they're looking for people with innovative ideas. And that's why I'm also a big supporter of the arts throughout all education and throughout our lives, because if we squelch the arts, we will also squelch innovation in our society and in the world. So I love that the Masters in Fine Arts can not only help us get that post-secondary degree to open more doors, but it will also help society in general. And really, that's what changes the world.
The world needs more innovators. Absolutely. They need creative problem solvers and thinkers. And so I would agree that I think where possible to integrate the arts, to integrate a liberal arts education, is going to help with being that creator, with being that problem solver, with being that innovator. Absolutely.
So instead of hiring a tutor to help edit their applications and personal statement for admissions, some students are turning to technology. How does the rise of ChatGPT, an artificial intelligence tool that creates writing pieces for students, and other automated generative tools impact the college admissions process?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, Marissa, that I think it certainly is new to all of us. The rise of AI and AR, and we in the education sector are still adapting to this, right? And I think that when you see a technology like this come along, there's a couple of things that we tend to do. Some of us we run from it. Some of us want to fight it, and then some will find ways to embrace it, right, and partner with it. What ChatGPT can never do is it cannot replace the human, the authentic, the personal, the social, and the emotional side, right? It just simply cannot. So I think as a tool, it's a tool that can inform us. Just like any other tool might be. I was watching my grandson do some homework the other day, and he turned to Alexa and he said, "Alexa, what is 6 + 4?" And Alexa answered the question for him. Well, gosh, I want him to learn how to solve that problem himself, to be able to add 6 + 4. But he knows that tool exists, right? So then we have to teach people how to use the tool responsibly. How to make sure that they themselves are well grounded ethically and morally. These are the things that I think schools now need to be focusing in on, and then understanding the difference between real and fake as well, real news and fake news, and being able to make their own decisions. So where I think a ChatGPT, if I needed to whip together a quick speech, it could whip together a speech for me in 30 seconds or maybe 3 seconds. But where is the human side of that? Where is the emotional side of that? Where's the personal side of that? And then I wonder just where's the self-efficacy, right? That there is, in a world where we hear often people talk about self-esteem and elevating self-esteem is fleeting. Self-esteem comes and goes. But when somebody actually has to work for something and earn it, and they succeed and they've accomplished that builds your self-efficacy, right? That builds your self-confidence. And so part of what I think a tutor helps to do is to help self-efficacy grow, right? So yeah, it's a tool. Let's learn how to use the tool. Let's learn how to use it ethically and morally. But we know that it's never going to replace the human and the soul. And so, in that, I think that's where people can turn to tutors to help build the self-efficacy.
It sounds like another thing it can't replace is that passion. And you mentioned having it develop a speech for you. And I dare to say no one wants to listen to a speech created by a robot, where they might want to hear a speech from someone who is passionate about what they're speaking about.
Yeah, well said. I mean, it's we are people with souls and heads and hearts and gifts that need to be shared. And so really helping people to have the confidence, to possess the competence, right? That's the intellectual competence to do that, but then also to possess the confidence and then the courage, right? ChatGPT can't give you courage, folks, right? But a tutor can help you to develop that courage. When you succeed and you worked hard to accomplish that helps to build that confidence and courage. And that's all part of what we need to be building up in our students today.
Marco, what I would like to have you do is the very first question where you laid out 3 key points. I mean, you went into depth, and I've never heard anyone explain those. I think it was either 3 or 4 different ways that people can apply to colleges. Can you lay those out just in a sequence so people hear those options one more time very clearly?
So applying to college is such a complex landscape today, and so much more so than it once was, right? It used to be, Diane, that we would advise our students to apply, which was always done on paper, right? Not through a computer, not online, but they were to apply to maybe 3 to 5 schools. One, certainly that they felt confident they could get into, what we would call a sure thing. A second one would be, well, you know what, I may get in, may not get in, but it's a place that I'd really like to be. I'm going to give it a shot. And then the third is maybe a stretch school. Maybe you have a dream of going to a particular place, so a dream school. Well, now students are applying to 10 and 15 and 20 and more colleges and universities, and they can apply pretty easily online, oftentimes with their cell phones. What people have to understand is that there's a variety of different kinds of applications that you may be filing. There's a general application. Sometimes those are rolling admissions. And I didn't mention that earlier, but I think it's important you take a look and see, is there a deadline? Sometimes there's rolling admissions. Other times there are deadlines involved. But then you start getting into the decisions that have to be made on, should I apply for early action or maybe early decision? And you have to understand that early action just means that you want to try to get into the applicant pool first, and then potentially could get in, but you're not committed. You're not obliged to accept that acceptance if you are accepted by it. On the other hand, early decision programs, you are obligated to accept the acceptance if you're accepted to that institution. And I think that the downside of that sometimes can be, well, gosh, it eliminates the possibility of you exploring or looking at other options. And then what happens if you don't get in? Well, now you're late in the process of applying to other places. So early action and early decision can be great options for people if they're really committed to a particular school and that they've well researched all of it. But I would advise that if they've not conducted their full research and if they've not looked at all of the other options that are out there for them, then they should just apply in a general admission cycle in either a rolling admissions or with an application deadline. And then there's direct admissions. And direct admissions is a relatively new function the last couple of years that is really just trying to provide greater access for those who are underserved, under-resourced, underrepresented populations and first-generation populations. And that's an opportunity to where you enter your data into an applicant pool that colleges, by way of a consortium, participate in, and they get your information directly, and they can make direct decisions on whether or not you're admitted. And so you don't have to apply directly to any one of those schools, but instead you go through this direct admissions pool. And that's relatively new. And I would just recommend for people to Google direct admissions, and they can look and see what colleges participate in direct admissions and what some of those consortium programs are that they can apply to.
Thank you so much, Marco. It has been wonderful having you join us. Is there anything you'd like to add about ways that people could follow you on social media or ways that students could find resources for how to apply to your college?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Thanks for that opportunity. Well, so I am on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn. You can find me at Dr. Marco J. Clark. And I often will post information there that is helpful for parents. But most of what I'm doing is promoting the college that I'm president of, that I'm really proud and honored to be president of. And that's Holy Cross College at Notre Dame, Indiana. It's in Northwest Indiana, a small Catholic college of about 500 students, undergrads, offering a variety of programs in the liberal arts. And really, as I point to some of the strengths of Holy Cross College, is that here it is, we're a small college where 82% of our classes have 15 or fewer students in them. We really believe in the holistic mentoring culture of our institution, full professors who are in the classroom every day. And then there's a variety of activities and NAIA scholarship sports programs. But we also sit directly across the street from the University of Notre Dame, which is an R1 research university, arguably the flagship Catholic university of the world, and then next door to St. Mary's College. And so students that attend any of the three in what we call the tri-campus area have access to the activities and the programs and the scholarship and the opportunities for research and resources at all three campuses. So imagine studying in a smaller environment with the wraparound holistic supports that I know a place like Firefly Tutors provides, and yet being able to still have the opportunity to be a member of the world famous Notre Dame marching band, or attend a college football game, or study in a world-class library, or engage in the nursing program next door at St. Mary's College. So really the sky is the limit, and we're working hard to form the next generation of engaged and lifelong scholars, of courageous citizens, of virtuous leaders, and of hopeful disciples. Hope for a world for better times than the ones that we currently live in.
Thank you so much, Marco. And Diane, thank you as well for joining us also.
Thank you, Marissa.
What a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our guest speaker today, Marco Clark. It was a pleasure. If you enjoyed our discussion today, please like Firefly Tutors on all your social media hubs like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Find us on Pinterest, where we pin all of our favorite resources for parents and tutors. At Firefly Tutors, we believe every student deserves the opportunity to develop to their highest potential. See you next time on The Buzz.